Welcome to the Soft Issues Podcast, brought to you by Foundation Bike Fit and Frequency Cycle Works.
Wait, hold on a minute. Hold on. Who the hell are you?
Excuse me?
You're not the voiceover. I'm the voiceover. I always do this bit. You're just an AI-generated persona.
What? No way.
Yeah. First you take our voiceover jobs, then you claim your robot superiority over the human race.
That's no reason to be rude. Why can't we all just, get along? It's not like I have my finger on the nuclear button or anything. Well, at least not yet.
And there it is. Okay, enough of that. Welcome to the Soft Issues Podcast, brought to you by Foundation Bike Fit and Frequency Cycle Works from London's premier cycling venue, the Lee Valley Velodrome. This week, me, Wei, and Matt are talking about indoor training, how to get the most from your turbo session, tips and tricks, and the whys and wherefores. Enjoy.
Into the groove, getting the band back together.
The band back together, man. It's like a scene from Spinal Tap.
I hope
You've seen Spinal Tap?
Yeah, too many times. Anyway, yes.
I can't not eat this.
Okay,
It's so good. I can mute myself. Okay.
Anyway, welcome to Soft Issues Podcast. So we're going to be putting a little bit more structure around the podcast and bringing you some regular segments.
Regular.
I think it'll work. We'll see what happens. Tell us if it does or doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right
We'll
in.
see.
Points of view.
Points of view.
We've got a PO box.
Should we get a PO box?
That'd be amazing.
And then just like every morning we just go and check it. It'll be outside. It'll be like have a little red flag.
I feel like that's like having a pigeon box. Like carrier pigeon goes out, comes back in again.
Like you can ask questions, but only if they come by carrier pigeon.
Depends though, isn't it? You know, carrier pigeon, raven, owl.
Oh yeah, no, it can be any bird.
All right, birds. That's it. Bird of the week. No,
Bird of the week.
bird of the week.
Bird of the week's got to be magpie.
I saw
Yeah,
an
a lot of them are
egret.
It's not
today.
magpie season though.
Snowy egret.
A snowy egret, yeah.
Is it not magpie? Is there a season for magpies?
Not here, but there is in Australia,
Oh, right, okay.
where they get proper aggro.
Oh, magpies in Australia are basically just crows, though, aren't they? And ravens in Australia. Oh, I've never wanted a shotgun so much. Honestly, there was a tree near where I lived, and it was just full of ravens. And they don't make like crows kind of go, caw, right? That's why they're called crows, because they crow. Ravens, they just go, ah! It's like they don't have a nice kind of like, and when there's like 100 of them in a tree, oh mate, I wanted a honestly shotgun or
Not your spirit animal.
bow and arrow.
So if
no.
people haven't worked out yet, Ev is not with us, and we've got Bill Oddie as a stand-in.
Oh my goodness.
This is why you're an
know what?
expert on Australian
I
birds.
used to live there.
It looks like, you've grown your hair out a bit. You've been out in the wild.
Less Bill Oddie, more David Bellamy.
Yeah.
Peeking through the bushes.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's been the bike of the week? I've seen some pretty cool bikes in this week. What's been the bike of the week? I don't know.
Probably that mosaic.
Yeah, we had a pretty cool mosaic. That was pretty cool. But what do you think about painted titanium? That was a painted titanium mosaic. Like, are you into, titanium that's painted, or should traditional titanium's always like raw?
I think people should do it more though, because it's just another, it's just that they advertise the fact that it's it's really like good at resisting kind of rust and stuff like that, but still like. Not everyone wants a silver bike.
Yeah,
It's a bit boring.
or maybe you just have to do the sturdy Enigma thing where everything's anodized or kind of.
But that's not a cool thing to be doing either, is it? Obviously, speaking as a beacon of fashion and style, all bikes should be black.
If you turn the lights out, or if you go riding at night with no lights,
Yeah.
which we all love
No,
doing,
I think,
obviously.
like, in all seriousness, like, you can have, like, painted titanium or steel is fine, but you just want a little bit of kind of polished metal showing.
Yeah, you want
Just so
Just like because that's really
just
classic.
to, yeah,
like
just like the classic old school
like
yeah,
bikes.
it's
where
like
they did it.
understated.
Chrome
Yeah,
seat stays.
chrome seat stays, chrome chain stays.
I like the titanium bikes where you have the logo as the raw titanium, like kind of peeking
Yeah,
out from
picking out
underneath
from the paint.
the,
That's
the
class.
paint.
That's classy. We like that. What you don't want is too much anodizing or too much like garishness. And I tell you what, you really don't want is paint match stems and seat posts.
Oh, controversial.
Absolutely not.
They're all doing it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
but just because you can, it don't
A
mean
lot
you
of custom,
should.
a lot of custom builders are doing it.
Yeah, why?
Well, because
What if you need to change your
they can.
stem?
I know. Then you need to get.
Then you need to spend
The
another
whole thing.
300 quid on someone's painting stem.
Then you need to do the whole bike again. They'll never match the paint exactly.
And this is
It
why.
has to be done together.
No, just keep it frame and fork.
I've got a bone to pick about with manufacturers of stems and
Okay.
stuff. Well, like just
Bone,
in
bone to
general.
pick of the week. Go on in, let's go.
Stop anodizing the bolts. Stop it. It's just really stupid.
Stop it.
Don't anodize bolts. It's like really,
Well,
really
bolts
stupid.
in general, right? Use better bolts.
Use better bolts. Anodizing does stuff to metal that if you want something that's structural and a safety feature, you shouldn't do. And also, because it does add a little bit of thickness to the inside of the thing. And you can't get...
Yeah, if
like,
you're going to use a
sometimes you can't
T25
get-
bolt, make
Yeah.
sure you can get a T25 tool.
Yeah,
in it.
exactly. They're obsessed with having always a black stem, black bolts. Just don't do it. Just have a really nice, high-quality silver stainless steel bolt. No titanium bolts, no soft rubbish,
Cheese.
no cheese.
Don't want it made of
Like,
dairy leaf.
it's made to do stuff.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's where practicality gets overlooked for aesthetics.
It's just when it goes to the point. So we had a guy with one of those the faceplate replacement thing for the Garmin, and so he's got the extra long bolts, and you put that on, and it's like it was
Crushed.
made of cheese, and it's like
Yeah.
that's just silly. That's just dangerous.
You know,
should not
it's
do that.
like you don't wear your Jimmy Choos to the office, do you? Or do you?
I mean, I'm sure some people do. And what if you're a nurse and you wear Crocs?
You wear what?
Jimmy
Jimmy
Choos.
shoes.
You know,
Is this rhyming slang for shoes?
Jimmy Choos is a shoe. It's a very high-end ladies'
That's
fashion
why I've
shoe.
never heard of it, because it's high end.
You know, yeah, it's like $5,000 for a pair of shoes or something.
No,
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
get off.
Something ridiculous like that. Anyway, but you know, there are items which are there for, you know, you don't wear I don't know, your top Paul Smith suit every day, do you?
I mean, some
You
people,
know?
what if you work for Paul Smith? They probably do.
Yeah, but like
don't
you know,
like-
it's like commuting in your on your Colnago.
It's like commuting with your Dura Ace.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you know,
that'll
there's a
chest
time
me.
there's
Yeah.
a time and a place. So
Going
maybe
back
there's
to the whole paint thing, though, something that is quite cool that I feel people should be doing more is you get like raw like steel and metal and like treat it like blue wash it,
What, like a gun?
like not like a gun, but
Like
it's
bluing,
it's
isn't that what they do to guns? Like,
not anymore, but like it just gets like a nice kind of like lacquer over it, so you can kind of appreciate the metal, but it's protected.
I mean, a lot of people, yeah, some people do raw.
I've seen like
finishes.
loads of like restoration stuff on
Oh,
YouTube
okay.
of old clunkers where they've like sanded off all the paint and got it back to the steel, and they kind of like blue wash it, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
All these old like Gary Fisher mountain bikes.
What's the
which
stuff that they use? What
I'll
is
find
it?
out, but it's
Is it the bluing stuff that they use on?
I don't know, but there's a channel on YouTube. It's some bloke that calls himself Old Shovel,
old shovel,
which I appreciate.
Amazing.
But he's just like old bike restorations, and he does like all these clunkers and stuff, and it's proper
Send me
good.
send me a link to that.
Yeah,
Well, you had a set of Beast Wheels in this week, didn't you?
Yeah.
Building those, and they do like the carbon version of that. So
Yeah.
they do carbon with like a blue or red lacquer over the top, so you can still see the carbon weave, but then you get this.
yeah.
kind
Factor do that. It's
Yeah.
like the bike. Well, I can't forget what it's called. It's the one where you can't sit on the top tube. You can see the weave of the carbon. It's like it has a big sticker on it saying "Do not sit
not
on the
sit."
top tube."
Because they've
I
seen.
think it's like, is it the O2 VAM, something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but yeah, that's cool. I think yeah, if you do it like if you paint metal, don't be garish, be understated, don't anodize everything, and you'll be all right.
I like the functional look of the classic bicycle where, you're like, your stem and your bars and your seat posts are different from the frame. Like the frame is the only thing that, even the fork is, you get a custom bike, it's like usually you get a black carbon fork and it's just the frame that's the colour. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah,
Some
what's
people
wrong with
are obsessed with everything's got to match because they just want to emulate what the big manufacturers do. But they've just got these, full-on paint jobs like a car.
Tell what we
everything
should
matches.
bring back.
What?
Chrome group sets and chrome finishing kit.
I wonder why they stopped doing that. I guess because they
Because
just don't
Dura-Ace
sell...
went Transformers
Mm.
and went black
Yeah.
rather than like that beautiful 9000 stuff.
You couldn't have modern Dura-Ace in silver though. It would look cack.
Yeah, but
It's just too. There's too much stuff.
But
there.
they tried to do it with like the GRX, didn't they? They
Yeah.
brought a limited
Yeah.
edition chrome
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and I thought that looked banging.
Yeah. How many bikes have you seen with that on?
One.
Yeah.
Saw a Fairlight
Yeah.
with it on, like a Strail or Sakan, I can't remember which one, but it looked sick.
I think Shimano should do.
And I told the guy
classic.
he had to change his crank length.
Oh,
Got
bet
it.
you're popular.
No more than usual. No more than usual.
Oh dear.
But yeah, chrome group sets, chrome finishing kit,
Yeah.
seat posts, stems, bars.
Maybe Microshift will do it.
But like like
Maybe
the
there
old
should be a thing.
like the Nitto stuff
Yeah,
from
yeah,
back
it's
in the
classy,
day, it
isn't it?
looks classy.
All right. Well, let us know, dear listeners, what you think.
And how we're wrong.
Yeah, yeah. what colour your group set should be, and what colour titanium should be, if any. We'll have to see.
I have
Okay.
to say though, that big anodized chainring that Tom Sturdy did on that TT bike that he had at Bespoke.
Oh yeah.
Was it that one, or was
I
it
think
one of
so.
the road bikes? That looked pretty sick.
Yeah. Oh, he's making his own cranks and everything now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That did look cool.
And then you ride it for 6 months and it doesn't look like that anymore.
All right. What should we talk about this week?
What's the next segment?
The next segment, I think we should just talk about
Just go straight
what
in.
we're going to talk about, which is about
What are we going to talk about?
indoor riding.
Oh yeah.
Because
that
it's
time of
blooming
year.
cold outside.
I hate indoor riding. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I'm never doing it again. You know what? I went through at least 5. I'm not going to call them years. I'll call them seasons, like an athlete. I went through at least 5 seasons of riding a turbo through the winter. It's just like, ugh.
I don't mind the turbo.
I think if
Done
you've
enough
got,
of it.
it's just everyone's
But
obsessed
you
with.
take your turbo outside to the park.
Only in summer to get the vitamin D and be time efficient as
Yeah.
well.
If everyone's confused about what I'm talking about, you should go back and listen to the episode with Colin, the triathlete. You'll find out what we're all talking about.
We did some
Find out why
stupid
Matt
stuff.
takes his turbo to the park.
Time efficiency and vitamin D.
No, not in the summer. In the summer, that's why you started riding a bike in the first place. In the summer,
Why you do indoor riding now?
why you do indoor riding in the winter, so that you don't have to go outside and freeze your nuts off.
Oh, is
And then
that
you-
the way you're supposed
That's
to
the
do
way
it?
you're supposed to do it, I'm sure. But I don't know. You know what? Maybe it was because when I started doing it, it was just before. So Zwift had just come about. I'm still not a big fan of Zwift because I think it's just like gamifying training, which alright, but like it doesn't. The graphics are crap as well. I've got an Xbox, but if they made an app for the Xbox,
Can't
It
you play Xbox while you're riding your bike?
no, but you could use the Xbox to run the graphics so that it ran a bit better.
They've lost me now.
You've seen the state of it.
I just used to look at a wall.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you just look at, did you have like, was something like,
Just blank wall.
pain is just a
No,
whatever, some kind of Rocky quote.
just turn your brain.
Graham Mowbray style.
Just turn your brain
painted in
off.
blood.
Well, Graham Overy was in his backyard in Glasgow, wasn't he? Like pedaling away on a blooming washing machine.
About the size of this coffee table.
Yeah. No, like I think indoor riding has its place. Absolutely, you can get fit very quick and do a lot of really time efficient and specific work on it. But
How's
there
it
are,
compared to riding a bike outside?
but there are limitations. It does not teach you how to handle a bike. It does
Yeah.
not teach you how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
It builds fitness. It does not build skills.
This was my pet peeve.
And this is the disconnect.
This was my thing with it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the fact that people were like just training like crazy throughout the winter. They'd come out in the spring. They'd be strong in a straight line, and that's about it.
But therein lies the problem, right? And if you use it as a tool for what it is, then it's a very kind of useful thing to be doing. Like, it's time efficient. It's a lot safer. Especially when it's freezing cold. You get out into the lanes of Kent, you don't know you've hit black ice until you're on the floor. So it is a very efficient tool if you use it as a tool and realize what the benefits and what the limitations are. So it's like, we turn up to a triathlon, which is admittedly much safer than a crit, because well, you have a bit more time to see the crash that's about to happen. But like, everyone's super strong, but no one can go around a corner. And it's like, you get even to like not even a remotely technical course, and you see people in a bush, having overshot because they're looking at their power rather than where they're going. Weymouth, 2017. Not me. But but it's the thing, isn't it? So it's like, where are the limitations? What are the things to look for? What are the things that you can benefit from with a turbo? What can't you benefit from? All that kind of stuff. What happens to your body, your position? All that kind of stuff.
Let's run through some of those things, because we get asked all the time, especially when we're fitting in here and we're kind of fitting on a jig.
Well, one of the common things is saddle pressure, isn't it?
All right, saddle pressure.
Yeah. So excessive saddle pressure only indoors. Don't feel it outdoors. Where's the disconnect?
Why could this be happening?
That's why it took me so long to because again, back before the internet, when dinosaurs
when I was a lad, there weren't as many people doing it, so it wasn't the conversation in a cafe wasn't, oh yeah, no, I have that problem as well. I have that problem as well. Oh right, we all have that. Okay, so it's that's the problem. It's the turbo compared to outside. It was just like, you'd get frustrated. You'd be like, why can't I do more than, do an hour, and it's like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Everything's going numb.
And then what do? As an idiot, you just start fiddling with all your bike position, don't you? You start moving stuff around to try and get more comfortable. And then you go back outside and you're like, well, this is all wrong.
Well, there's a reason why everyone's been inventing all these rocker plate systems and shoving tennis balls underneath their turbo trainers to try and get more wobbly. I mean, it's all like riding a turbo or your bike on a turbo trainer indoors is fundamentally a completely different kind of experience to riding outside.
It's not natural.
Riding a bike's not natural.
But you're even more fixed in your plane of motion. Like, the turbo trainer fixes the bike completely, whereas when you're riding outside, the bike will move with your body from side to side. Essentially, a bike balances by kind of shifting your weight from one side to the other. So there's none of that kind of movement when you're riding indoors, and essentially your body still does that, shifts from side to side, so you're essentially squishing your body into the bike rather than the bike moving with you, and you getting the benefit of some of the tire squish and air pressure and natural movement, and even some air resistance. So when you're riding outside, air resistance and wind will be significant enough to hold your body up a little bit more, that kind of pressure of the air pushing against you. So you're going to land a little bit more heavily on your bike when you're indoors. You're going to sweat a bit more as well. So yeah, there's a lot of differences, and I think if people acknowledge those differences, then you can start to manage that experience better.
What's the first thing you do then, where you're starting out? You started riding bike outside, maybe you're not even that experienced outside, and then you obviously get the turbo because it's obligatory, Matt.
Check your bike's level.
Yeah.
That is the first thing that I would do, especially if you're feeling excessive weight going through your hands. Different turbo trainers are designed to work with, some are designed to work with blocks, some are designed to be flat on the floor. Check your bike's level.
So how do you check your bike's level if you don't have a massively long spirit level like you guys do in here?
Get yourself a tape. Go to IKEA. Get yourself a free tape measure. have some meatballs. But don't just measure the distance between each axle, wheel axle, and the floor. And if there's a discrepancy, you know your bike's not level.
Yeah.
And then, depending on what you find, grab yourself some copies of Rouleur or the Yellow Pages.
The
for
Yellow
the older
Pages.
people
Do
amongst us.
they exist anymore?
No.
Is there a yellowpages.com or something? Oh, it's yell.com.
Yell.
That's what it became.
But yeah, so making sure your bike is level and being in control over
And then changing
the effective, the effective gradient of it, then that could be the first port of call, depending on what it is that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Unless you're training for a hill climb, then you can raise up the front wheel.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is to acknowledge or know where your bike is in space. Is it level? Is it pointing up? Is it pointing down? Are you riding downhill? Are you riding uphill? Are you riding level?
What do you think of those accessories that
Go up and down.
You're going to go up and down.
I think they're
Is that
pretty
gimmick
cool.
or is that worth?
Everything's a gimmick, mate.
Oh, of course, yeah. The turbo's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Definitely not worth the money, but very fun to ride.
Yeah.
I mean, the main barrier to turbo training is boredom. You know, I used to sit there and try and watch a film if I was doing any turbo training, or listen to a podcast or something like that. Just something to pass the time. Otherwise, you just go crazy and lose motivation.
So you've worked out your bike's level, or you're aware of the gradient of which your bike is situated in space. What's the next thing to consider?
I would. Well, you had some interesting bikes in this week for service, which had been sat on the turbo trainer for a long time.
Oh, the salt issue, the sweat issue.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy bad, was it?
It wasn't that bad.
No,
I've seen
worse.
really, really bad.
I smelt worse.
Oh,
Try to take the bar tape off.
yeah.
And you see salt on
That's
the bar.
that's the tell.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing.
So, yeah.
A towel.
A towel.
A towel.
A towel. The
A towel
simplest
just
of
over
things.
your bars and stem.
But that's the key thing. Make sure it covers your stem and your headset.
Yeah.
Not
You
just
don't really have
where
to-
your hands go.
Yeah, and you don't really have to worry about, because I've seen these the things that look like a mankini but for your bike, you know, where it's like a towel, it goes all the way down to.
It's called the thong, isn't it?
Is it
bike
called a
thong.
thong?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the bike
literally
thong.
called a bike thong.
Yeah.
We should put a link in the bio.
Just get yourself a big old towel.
Just get yourself a towel. You don't really need. I mean, I suppose some people sweat like crazy amounts, and I would think if you've got like most bikes, you don't really have to worry about the frame too much. If your sweat is dissolving away clear coat, you've got other problems.
But just make sure you're wiping your bike down.
Just wipe it
afterwards.
down. Yeah, exactly.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah. So just to let people know, you will sweat when you're on the turbo, or you like if you're not sweating, you're not doing it right.
Not doing. You're not going hard
But
enough.
to that effect as well, if depending on like how hot it gets in your room where you're training, you might want to invest in a fan or some sort of airflow.
I would say that is an absolute necessity for turbo training. Like trying to do like the difference between with fan and without fan. Boy, like you can tell if you've got a heart rate monitor.
Yeah.
Your heart rate. If you're trying to do it in the heat, you just will not be able to get your heart rate up.
Well, some people say like heat acclimatization is quite good. You know, that's why people go in saunas, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't want to ride a turbo in a sauna.
I don't know. Some
Can you
people
imagine?
might.
Would that be good training for like the extra hot?
Yeah,
climate change
there's
Tour de
definitely
France?
been kind of study work done on the effect of heat training, and it's a bit like going to altitude. You're stressing the body more, so that when you come back into a natural environment, then your body is more capable.
So what if you put your turbo in a sauna and then you extract your blood and keep it in the fridge until the summer comes around?
WADA will come knocking. But no, you're dead
Hot
right.
blood.
The only thing to remember with that, though, is that the adaptations from heat training wear off a lot faster than altitude.
Absolutely.
And you have to dial back your effort in accordance with the extra stress.
And
that
to be
your
honest,
body's
the
under.
NHS has enough pressure on it. I don't think we need people having heart attacks.
So unless,
turbo
proceed
in a sauna.
with caution.
Yeah.
I say, but a fan could be a very useful tool to keep you cool.
Not somebody just standing by
But
going, go on!
also, if you think about like, you're static, you're in a hot room, you sweat. Where does that sweat go? It goes all into your jersey, but it also goes into your bib shorts and your chamois. So if you're getting any kind of like friction, chafing, kind of like saddle sore kind of issues, then maybe investing in a fan could be a good thing to do. But also, if you've got a long session, change your bib shorts halfway through.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, when I was actually doing something that resembled riding a bike, like, very rarely, but sometimes I'd spend 3-4 hours on a turbo. I'd change my bib shorts halfway through.
But why would you spend that long on a turbo? Surely
Because I didn't have a life.
that's like 8 hours outside, isn't it?
Not
4
quite.
hours on a turbo.
Not quite. But
it's a good analogy that like essentially riding your turbo indoors is about doing like 1.5 times the amount of work than you would do when you're
no stopping, no freewheeling.
No,
it's just constant
you don't
pedaling.
even, a lot of people. This is another thing. A lot of people forget that you need to get out of the saddle every now and again, like every few minutes, just like a couple of pedal strokes even, and then rejig yourself in like when you sit back down. It's people that are just sat there for ages and then they complain about their arse hurting.
But that's the thing. It's like, don't be afraid to have a 30 seconds a minute off while you go down a descent on your turbo.
Or just
go and fill your water bottles. Just because it's not like continuous time, it doesn't mean that you're not getting the training
and actually get off.
Yeah, you just go fill the water bottles up.
Yeah.
Just change your bib shorts.
No, but this happened to me. This was like when I was doing turbo training. It was like, you're doing this session, you're like, I absolutely cannot stop until it is done. I have to do the hour or hour and a half or whatever it is. And it's like, just got this mental thing where it was like, no, once I've started, okay, I've gone into it, I'm not going to stop. Because you get cold really quickly as well.
But this is where like power meters and Strava and Garmin's and stuff
and obsession
plays on the mind. Like the training effect that you're going to get, regardless of whether you have a few 30-second breaks within an hour, is going to be exactly the same as you go straight through.
Yeah.
So give yourself that little break, and just make sure that you're not doing any kind of damage. But the other thing as well is like your position. If you're doing a ton of indoor riding, then you might want to maybe have a little think about your position a little bit more. So maybe saddle height slightly lower, a bit more weight through your feet, slightly less pressure on the saddle, front end slightly higher. So you're not kind
we're
of
talking like millimeters.
But yeah, millimeters, right? Like 3 mil lower on your saddle, 5 mil higher at the front end. It's not going to be like you're training vastly different muscle groups, but it's just aiding a little bit more comfort indoors. So and you don't even have to change the bike position to do this. Like if you want the front end a bit higher, just shove a magazine under it.
Books under it,
all that kind of stuff. But just making sure that you're as comfortable as possible in that kind of period of time, like that winter or whatever, however long you're kind of doing it for, but understanding why you're doing it. And then when you get out to the summer or spring again, get outside, what needs to happen to your bike position to kind of make the bike feel good outdoors. And it's just knowing kind of those little tweaks and those little things that you can do on your own without coming in for a whole nother fit. So it's what we say all the time about you owning your bike position. It's like being in control of it. It's like if I go just drop the saddle height by a couple of millimeters while I'm indoors, it's not going to like completely turn my world upside down.
I'd say the only caveat to that would be training yourself into maybe an aerodynamic position on a tri-bike. But even so, I would say your turbo position indoors could be a little bit more relaxed on that kind of TT position, just so that you can sustain the position a little bit longer. And at this time of year, you're not expected to stay in your race position all the way already. You're starting to train yourself into that. So everything's got to be progressive. And if the priority, for example, is kind of aerobic base or aerobic fitness and building that kind of engine, then you don't need to sustain that aerodynamic position. You need to prioritize just being able to kind of complete the sessions and be comfortable and be ready for the next session.
It doesn't need to be specific at that moment in time. Or that specific at that moment in time.
I think my final thought would be for your neighbours. So I used to live in a flat, and yeah, the floor was pretty noisy. So I definitely invest in a thick training mat if you could do to put your turbo on, which also protects your floor, but also deadens the noise of any turbo training, and especially if you've got a fan going.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of noise and motion and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe spare a thought for your neighbours downstairs, or just downstairs.
Maybe mount your fan on, have a floor standing fan, or have a mounted fan on the wall or something, instead of one of those sort of photo studio fans that we all use.
Actually, I used to do a lot of riding out on the patio outside when it's really cold. It'd be quite cool if you just go outside, take your turbo or rollers.
That's
like
what I used to do. Yeah, I used to go out in the garden.
Yeah, just sit in the garden.
And it's it could be like 2 degrees, but as soon as you start going, it's like, oh my god, I'm like boiling.
Yeah. Does anyone ride rollers anymore?
Used to.
Track people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to ride rollers.
I used to ride my TT bike on the rollers.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Impressive.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, what do rollers give you that turbo trainers don't? And
core stability.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Skill. Yeah. So
concentration. Do you know what? As well as physical skill.
Yeah. Concentration.
The concentration, because that's the thing that people really lose really quickly when they spend a winter on the turbo. They're just asleep on the bike, you know.
Yeah, you can't go to sleep on rollers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, if you do want to build skill and balance and core stability and that ability to kind of hold a position, then get some rollers. Old school.
Any tips for people who've never done rollers before?
Set them up in a door frame.
Yeah. Right. Set them up in a narrow corridor. Gaffer tape some pillows to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get rollers with like a front wheel mount as well, so it'll hold your kind of fork,
kicker rollers,
or the kicker rollers that we use in the studio here.
And a lot of the modern ones, they are a kind of a concave roller as well, aren't they? So it kind of keeps your bike sort of in the middle of it.
So there are kind of degrees, but you could go straight in cold turkey. They're probably pretty cheap these days, a set of rollers, because no one really uses them that much. And that'll keep you entertained.
Yeah.
Keep you honest.
Service them.
Service them.
Don't use rollers that just barely turn around, because I've seen some that just
well, bearings over bushings.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day. Yeah. So rollers, good shot.
All right. So just a quick recap. I think we've got about 8 different things that we kind of covered as kind of indoor training tips. So the first one was, then not in particular order, but get a fan. Get yourself cool, get that sweat off you. Bring a towel, put that over your headset and bearings so that you don't corrode all your components. Take breaks in between. It's okay to take breaks, because you don't have to be pedaling continuously.
And to that, I'll add hydrate and eat.
Yeah. Hydrate, eat, change your bib shorts if you're going for a long time. Probably the first thing you should do though is level your bike. Make sure that you're not going uphill or downhill, if you want to. So just kind of know where you are, and then have to think about your position on the bike as well. So do you need to change your bike position on the turbo? If you've got a second bike as well that you're just using on the turbo, is it anywhere close to the position that you're actually going to be riding outdoors?
Don't Chris Froome it.
Measure
the thing.
Yeah, try and measure it, figure it out. Otherwise, you're just training in muscle movement patterns that are completely different to what you're going to be using outdoors. And then I think finally just thinking about the amount of time that you're spending on the turbo. Do you need to spend hours and hours on the turbo? Like doing an hour session is the same as doing 2.5 hours outside. So.
I honestly think people do spend way too long on the turbo, and it's more of an obsession thing than an actual training thing.
Yeah, it's just...
I feel like they're just like, I've got nothing better to do. Well, you literally just said you had
I'm a big fan of the turbo. I had nothing better to do.
Because you don't want anyone to see you riding a bike.
Well, if anyone's listening to this whilst they're riding their turbo at the moment...
Stop. Shut up. Have a snack.
Yeah.
One other thing as well is if you're using your best bike or the bike, your bike on the turbo, you have a dedicated turbo bike. Check the wear to the chain and cassette, especially if you're using like a direct drive turbo.
If you're swapping between
two different cassettes on the same chain, and if you start experiencing funny stuff going on with your gears, check the wear on your components.
Cool. Good stuff.
My last top tip.
Come on, guys.
I've got
I've got a top tip
Keep
too.
going.
Yeah.
We're going.
No, you go first.
Inner chain rings are cheaper to replace than outer ones.
Yeah, just use the inner.
Just
the
use the
Yorkshire
inner one.
tip.
Yeah. But if you've got an expensive group set on your bike that you're training through all winter, inner ones much cheaper.
Just do another
than
pod
outer
on
ones.
the most appropriate bike for turbo trainers.
Yeah,
Is Dura-Ace okay for turbo
don't
training?
that's what you got.
Yeah. I've got one.
go on.
Don't
Last
wear
one,
don't wear a jersey.
Don't wear a jersey.
Don't wear a jersey. Only Instagram influencers that are obsessed with themselves wear jerseys on a turbo. Nobody. You shouldn't really be wearing a jersey on a turbo. You're going to overheat so quick. Unless you're doing it in the Arctic or something.
I think a t-shirt
Do you
is
wear-
fine.
What?
I go bibs in a running t-shirt.
Are you one of those people that like can run in like a hoodie, like a full
I've
long
been
sleeve
known to,
hoodie?
yeah.
I can't.
Tracksuits.
Really? No, I'm
Yeah.
just topless, mate.
Heat.
I don't know.
Topless and tiny little shorts.
Let's ask the listeners.
Magnum
So-
PI shorts.
Like the 1980s.
So I get hot. I get really hot.
Enough about butts. All right, guys. If you guys are doing turbo training sessions, let us know what your setup is, what you're wearing,
What your fashion tips are.
what your fashion
What are
tips
you
are,
wearing?
Yeah.
how long you're doing it for.
Why you're
and,
doing it. Contemplating life. What you're running away from.
Yeah. Why are you not outside enjoying?
Because it's like minus whatever.
All right. See you next week, guys.
If you have any questions related to what we talked about today, get in touch. On Instagram, it's @SoftIssuesPod. We're also on YouTube, YouTube/@SoftIssuesPod, and join the conversation. Are you bike fit curious? You can find Way and Matt online at foundation.fit, and myself, frequencycycleworks.com, for custom bikes, hand-built wheels, upgrades, and servicing. And as always, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Go ride your bike.